Right, so the C grade questions. Jeff charged £1,200, changed £1,200 into US dollars when the rate of exchange was £1 is £1 is 1.52. So he got 1,200 lots of 1.52. $18.24. During the stay, Jeff spent $1,649. On his return, he changed his remaining dollars back into pounds at the same exchange rate. How much did he receive in pounds? Well, first of all, we're going to work out how many dollars he's got left. So dollars left would be 18.24 that he took out, less the 16.49 that he spent. So take off the 16.49. So he's got $175 left. And to turn them from dollars into pounds, we're going to do the opposite of times it by 1.52, which is dividing by 1.52. Which is 115 point, and then we need two decimal places for money, for pence, so it's going to be 13 or 14. Next one is a 1, so it's closer to 13. So £115 and 13 pence. So 1 mark for the method, 1 mark for the answer, 1 mark for the method of finding the difference and dividing, and 1 mark for the answer. Using a ruler and a pair of compasses, construct an angle of 30 degrees. So 30 degrees is 2 steps. First of all, you have to draw 60 degrees. So 60 degrees, you open your compass out to a reasonable size and draw part of a circle. Then you draw an arc like that with a point there. That is 60 degrees. So I'll draw that in lightly. Okay, so the pencil one is 60 degrees. Then we have to cut that in half, which is an angle bisector. So take your compass, change the gap so you don't get confused, and then put your compass at the point A and draw an arc across the 2 lines in a 60 degree, because what we need to do is cut that in half. So we're going to do an angle bisector. Move your compass point to the first, where the first arc crosses this line, draw an arc, which is that one. Then move your compass point to where the arc crosses the other side of the angle, draw another one, and then join that up with line A. That is 30 degrees. You could do it all in one go, but it's probably easier to think, right, well, first of all I'll draw 60 and then I'll chop it in half. Using a ruler and a pair of compasses, draw the perpendicular bisector. That means we're going to cut this in half and at right angles. So this time when you open the compass, it has to be by eye over halfway. So that's good enough, doesn't have to be exact, but as long as it's more than halfway. Then with the compass point at P, you're going to draw above and below the line. Then keep the compass open to the same size, move the point to Q, and join those arcs like that. And then with your ruler, you're just going like that. And that cuts PQ in half at right angles. So it's a perpendicular bisector. Marks for that. 1 mark showing the 60 degree, 1 mark for the angle bisector, 1 mark for the red line. And for the second one, 1 mark for the construction arcs and 1 mark for getting the line correct. Total for the page, 9. Question 14. Draw a reflection of the triangle in the line y equals 1. So the only thing that makes this tricky is that you need to know the language of what that means. What that means is you're going to draw a line where the y coordinate is always 1. The y-axis is here, so the y coordinate is there, which means the line y equals 1 is that one. Doesn't matter where you are on that line, the x coordinate is changing, but the y coordinate will always be 1. Sometimes they'll ask you for the line x equals 1. Well, the line x equals 1 would be the line there, the vertical line which goes through x1, because everything on that line, the x coordinate would be 1. Anyway, that's what we need to do. It's a reflection, so I'm going to turn it this way around. So I can see there that this side is 2 squares that side of my reflection line, my mirror line. So I need to go 2 squares this side, 1, 2. So that is going to go there. Use a ruler and a pencil when you do it. And then this is this side of the triangle is 4 squares. So it's going to be 4 squares like that. And then it's going to join up like so, and you should be able to tell just by looking at it that that is going to reflect. Okay, so you should be happy with that. With part B, it's an enlargement, so you want a shape which is going to be twice the size of that one. Now sometimes they'll just give you a grid and ask you to draw it twice as big. Other times they'll want you to do it from a specific point, and that's what's happening this time. So it's going to have a scale factor of 2, and it has to be using this as a center of enlargement. So what that means is for each corner, the up and across distance you have to go from A to that point is going to be twice as big. So here you're going up 1 and across 3. So to move that point and enlarge it, you're going to go up 2 and across 6. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that point is going to end up there. Then to get to this point, we're going down 3 and across 1. So in the enlargement, we're going to go down 6 and across 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. So that is going to join to that. Once you've got those 2 points, you can then actually work out the rest by just doubling every other part. Or you can keep going back to A, whatever you're happiest with. So that's that one. Now what we've got here, this line is 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. So it's going to be 8 squares in the enlargement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There. Like that. Then it's going to go up 2, so it's going to go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 to there. And then it's going back to the start. So that's the enlargement. So you get the shape started by getting a line where you're working how much further up and across it is going to be. So if it was a scale factor of 3, rather than going across 1 and up 1 and across 3, you'd be going up 3 and across 9, and so on. So the marks for question 14, you got 1 mark for putting your mirror in the right place, and then 1 mark for a correct reflection. And then for part B, if you've done one which is correct double enlargement, but you've shoved it anywhere, you would get 2 marks. But in order to get the 3 marks, you would have to have it in the right position from A. So those are the 3 marks. Question 15. Right. This is probably the trickiest question on the paper. The ruling body for international football has rules for the dimensions of rectangular football pitches. So that's how it defines the length, that's how it defines the width. Football pitch dimension rules. The minimum width is 45 meters. The maximum width allowed is double the minimum width. The maximum length is 120, and the minimum length is allowed is 3/4 of the maximum length. Susan says the maximum area of a pitch is at least 50% greater than the minimum area of a pitch. Is Susan correct? Well, what we'll do is we'll first of all work out what the minimum dimensions are going to be, and then find what the minimum area is, and then we'll do the same with the maximum dimensions. Then we'll compare the 2 areas. So the minimum the minimum dimensions, so the minimum width is 45. The minimum length would be 3/4 of 120. The minimum length is 3/4 of the maximum. So it's going to be 3/4 of 120. 1/4 of 120 is 30, so 3/4 would be 90. If you don't like doing that in your head, you can do it any number of ways. Use the fraction button on your calculator. 3/4 times 120 is 90, or if you know 3/4 is 0.75, do 0.75 times 120, whatever works for you. Meters. So the minimum area is going to be the minimum width times the minimum length, which is 45 times 90, 4,050 meters squared. Now we'll do the same for the maximum dimensions. The maximum width, the minimum width is 45, so the maximum width will be, is double it, which is 90 meters. The maximum length is 120. So the maximum area will be 90 times 120, which is 10,800 square meters. Now, 50% greater, this is more than double, the maximum area is more than double the minimum area. So that means it is in fact more than 100% greater. Okay, so Susan is correct. As max area is more than double the minimum area, and more than double means it's more than 100% bigger. If you double something, it's adding 100% to it, so it's 100% bigger. So she's right, because she said at least 50% greater. Okay, so there's only 4 marks for that. how are they dishing out those 4 marks? So there's 1 mark for the length and width, and 1 mark for, so 1 mark for the minimum dimensions, 1 mark for the maximum dimensions, 1 mark for working out the 2 areas, that area and that area, and then 1 mark for coming up with a comparison with the correct conclusion. So even if you couldn't explain it, you should have been able to work out what the maximum and minimum areas were. So total for that page is 9. Question 16. Claudia was given the following information. UK income tax, April 2013 to April 2014. Taxable income is gross income, take away personal allowance. Personal allowance is £9,205. The basic rate of tax is 20% on the first £32,255 of taxable income, and then higher rate tax is 40% on all taxable income over that. So this doesn't come up very often. They prefer to use utility bills, but personal finance is something that they can ask questions on. So during the tax year, Claudia's gross income was £52,250. So that's how much she earned before the tax was taken off. If I calculate the total amount of tax that Claudia should pay. Okay, so the first thing that happens is her allowance is taken off. So her taxable income is going to be the £52,250 less the amount that she can earn tax-free, which is 9,205. So 52,250 less 9,205 . So she's going to be taxed on that much of her earnings. She has to pay 20% tax on that much, and she's earning more than that. So the basic tax that she has to pay is 0.2, 20% of £32,255. So 0.20 times 32,255 is 6,451. Then she has to pay higher tax on the amount of money that she earns above 32,250 that she's taxed on. So she's going to be paid on the £43,045 less the amount that she's got to pay the basic rate tax on, £32,255. I don't know why I put those in brackets. You don't need brackets there. It's just a taking away. So 43,045 take away 32,255. So she's got to pay a higher rate tax on 10,790 quid. And she's going to pay 40% of that. The government are going to take 40% of those off. So the higher tax to pay is going to be 40%, 0.4 times 10,790, which is 4,316. So the total amount of tax that she has to pay is that much basic plus that much higher. So Claudia must pay 6451 basic tax plus 4316 higher tax. That's already on the calculator. Add 6451 . So out of the 50 grand she earns, she's going to give 10 of it to the taxman. So question 16, let's have a look. 1 mark for working out the taxable income, 1 mark for working out what she pays higher tax on, 1 mark for the basic tax, 1 mark for the amount of higher tax, and 1 mark for adding them both, and 1 mark for getting the right answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Question 17, last question. In 2013 there were 119 days on which there was rain or snow in Moscow. For what fraction of the number of days in 2013 was there no rain and no snow? So you need to know how many days are in a year. Days with no snow snow is going to be 365 in the year. Don't worry about but it might be a leap year. 2013 wasn't. So 365 days, take away the 119 is 246. So to write that as a fraction, then you're going to be doing the 246 out of 365. Just like if you scored 246 out of 365 in a test, that's how I'd write it on the front of the paper. If they asked you for a percentage, you would do that on your calculator and then times it by 100, but they're not. Okay, the mean temperature in Moscow for a 12-month period is 4 degrees. It's warmest in July, typically 26 degrees. What would the estimate for the mean temperature be if July was not included? So the mean is the total of 12 months temperatures divided by 12. We know that the mean is 4. So 4 is the total divided by 12. So the total would be the opposite of dividing by 12 is times in by 12. 4 times 12 is 48. So the total for the 12 months is 48 degrees. So if I take July out, so without July, total will be 48, take away 26, which is 22. So the new mean, I'll do this up here. So new mean will be total 22, but now if I'm taking July out, I'm not going to divide by 12, I'm going to divide by 11. So the new mean will be 22 divided by 11, which is 2 degrees. Okay, we're going to estimate a mean, and this is what makes this nasty, is that it's negative numbers, whereas very rarely, I don't think I've seen a question where you're estimating the mean of negative numbers. Anyway, job 1, find the midpoint. So the midpoint is going to be halfway between negative 10 and negative 12, which is negative 11. Okay, endpoint, midpoint. Halfway between negative 10 and negative 8 is negative 9. Then I got negative 7, negative 5, negative 3, negative 1. So the reason it's an estimate is because I am saying I know there are 3 days between negative 10 and negative 8. I don't know what they were, so I'm estimating that they're all halfway. Then we multiply these. So we do 1 times negative 11, negative 11, negative 3 times 3 lots of negative 9 is negative 27, 5 lots of negative 7, negative 35, 8 lots of negative 5, negative 40, negative 12, negative 10. Then I add those together because what I'm looking for is a total temperature. So I'm going to do negative 11 and negative 27. Let me just check that works. Yeah, do it again. Negative 11, I wasn't sure whether I needed to put brackets in, plus negative 27 plus negative 35 plus negative 40 plus negative 12 plus negative 10 equals minus 135, and we've got to divide that by however many days there are, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There were 31 days, so the mean is going to be negative 135 divided by 31, which equals, so I still got the negative 135 divided by 31 minus 4 point, and then let's give it to 1 decimal place. It doesn't tell us, but 1 would be sensible. So it's either going to be 4.3 or 4.4. The next digit over is 5. If it's 5 or more, it's closer to 4.4. So what we're looking for is minus 4.4. Marks for that question then. 17A, 1 mark for 246 over 365. Part B, 1 mark for the 48 degrees. So if we're doing that bit, then you've got a method mark for working out the new total is 22. A method mark for working out your new dividing by 11, and an answer mark for the 2 degrees. And then for part C, you've got 1 mark for writing down the midpoints. You've got 1 mark for then multiplying and adding to get the negative 135. 1 mark for doing what you've got there divided by 31, and 1 mark for getting the total answer. So the total for that page is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 marks. There's a lot of marks on that page. And then the final question, compound depreciation. Boris bought a car in Moscow for 251,850 Russian rubles. Each year the value of Boris's car depreciates, that means it goes down by 10% of its value at the start of the year. At the end of 2 years, by how much has the value of Boris's car depreciated? So at the end, what it loses in the first year then, it loses 10%. So it's going to lose 0.10, which is 10%, times 251 850. Oops. $25,185. That's how much it loses. So at the end of the first year, the car is worth 251,850 less the amount that it's lost. $226,665 rubles. So for the second year it's going to lose another 10%, but it's going to lose 10% of this much. So it's going to be 226,665, still on the calculator, so it's going to put 226,650. That's how much is lost in the second year. So at the end of the second year, the car is worth 226,665, which is what it was worth at the start of the year, less what is depreciated, 226,650, which is so it's now worth 203,998.50. Now the question is asking by how much has it gone down. So the two ways of doing it, you could have just added together the two things that it's lost, so it's lost that much and that much, or, and probably the easier way to understand it, is at the end of the car, at the end of the second year, it's worth 203,000 odd, and at the start it was worth that much, and take those away. So car has lost or depreciated 251,850 less 203,998.50, which is 251,850 less 203,998.50 equals, it's lost 47,851.50 rubles. Now if you're a higher tier person, there's a quicker way of doing that, but for the foundation tier, that's the easiest method to remember, because you're just finding 10%, taking it off, finding 10%, taking it off. So the method for that, you get 1 mark for finding 10%, 1 mark for the method of subtracting and finding 10% again, and 2 marks for correctly finding the difference and not leaving your answer as what it's worth. So if you've left your answer as what it is worth, 203,000 odd, you get 1 mark, and you get the final mark for working out the difference. Look for that page 4. So that wasn't a bad paper actually. We've done tougher ones than that.